Everdark, Episode 80, Break. Last on Everdark, we experience things through Kaly's point of view. We find out that he established the Order because of the war, but though he blames the Immortals for their actions, it is Daemon that he blames most. Daemon left them, and Kaly feels it should have been obvious what would happen without him. Therefore, Daemon has no right to rule again without punishment. Ravenscroft Manor, Earth.
"Do I want to know why you are staring into the toilet bowl so intently?"
Julian asked, his eyebrows rising as he watched Daemon stare intently down into the still pool of water. Daemon's nude form had been utterly still as he had gazed downwards. Now he moved, so graceful and masculine, to look over at Julian with a smile on his sculpted lips. He went from statue to living man in half a second. "I was using the water," Daemon said. Julian's eyes flickered from Daemon to the toilet bowl and back again. Had the Vampire King bathed in it or something? They were going to shower together. Had he drunk from it? No, there was no water on his lips or chin.
Thank God.
Had he, like the cat he sometimes seemed like, dropped something into the bowl and flushed it like he'd threatened to do once before? Julian hadn't heard a flush, and thankfully even if Daemon had put something in, the toilet looked fine. It would hardly be sexy to have to plunge a toilet.
"How were you using the water?"
Julian asked. He shifted from foot to foot on the fuzzy rug outside of the shower stall. He curled his toes in the fluffiness. Steam rose from the top of the glass-enclosed shower and caressed his back. The amber scent of soap was awaiting them. Maybe he just shouldn't pursue this line of questioning and just let it roll. But no, he had to know, or he'd be thinking about it.
"Better that than Mom and Dad."
Daemon put his hands on his taut hips and a teasing smile on his lips. "To communicate."
With who? Or, oh God, what?
Again, Julian looked from Daemon to the toilet bowl. It did not work. Daemon chuckled as he swept Julian up into his arms. His bare body slid against the Vampire King's, and Julian let out a pleased sigh. He wrapped his arms around Daemon's neck.
"Seriously, who were you communicating with?"
Julian laughed. Daemon's red eyes flared with fire for a moment. "Kaly." Julian froze in Daemon's arms. He gestured to be let down, but Daemon shook his head and held Julian tightly against him. "I reached out to him through the water. He was by a pool." Daemon's gaze went distant. "I tried to explain to him that no good would come from our fighting, that he needed to surrender and accept punishment for his wrongful actions."
"I'm guessing he said hell no?"
Julian's hands closed around Daemon's shoulders. Daemon nodded. "Yes, I suppose he did."
"Why? Why is he doing this?"
Julian felt that wild fear for his parents rise up in him again.
"I don't understand why you going to sleep is so personal for him."
"He blames me for the chaos that happened after I went to sleep. If I had been there, he believes it would not have happened. And now he thinks I seek to sweep aside all he has done to bring order to the vampires without any kind of punishment for what I've done," Daemon explained, almost lightly. He opened the door to the shower. A blast of wet heat flowed over Julian's back and caused his nipples to peak almost painfully.
"Punishment? You are not responsible for other people's actions,"
Julian cried.
"That bastard created a false religion to control vampires. He killed people to keep that secret. My parents and so many others."
"Yes, he did."
"And for what? Why?"
"He believes in rigid order. He must, because there is no room for mistakes when dealing with life and death," Daemon said evenly.
"How can you be so calm about this? Aren't you mad? He was like your friend, right? And now, I don't even know what he is now."
"I am angry. He will be punished for what he has done. But I will not let that anger stain this moment with you," Daemon answered. Julian was rigid with suppressed rage as Daemon moved them both into the hot spray. He let out an involuntary groan as his muscles released under the water's caress. Daemon tipped his head back and let the water slick his hair back.
"That sounds wise, but I can't just turn off my emotions like that. I can't just let this go,"
Julian told him. His hands fisted over Daemon's shoulders. Daemon's eyes opened and he focused on Julian. I do not expect you to. Julian swallowed the hot lump in his throat.
But...
Your grief comes from your fear that Kaly will not be stopped, and his wrongs will not be righted. Daemon set Julian down and immediately reached for the shower gel.
Yes, of course. He can't be allowed to keep doing this. He has to be held accountable for all the bad things he's done.
And he will be. Julian blinked.
You're doing that thing again. Like when you say you're king, and we all think you're crazy or exaggerating, or not understanding what that means.
Kaly will be dealt with. I reached out to him now because I hoped, a vain hope to be sure, that I could ease your pain, end this quickly. But he is not ready to listen to reason yet.
You're gonna reason with him?
Reasoning? Talking at all, really, didn't seem like Daemon's modus operandi. He acted, which was so much more powerful than talking, like using Armageddon. Daemon smiled, having read his thoughts. You are right. I like to act. I do not threaten. I simply do. And I will take care of Kaly. Julian watched as amber-colored gel filled Daemon's left palm. Daemon rubbed those large hands together until suds squeezed out from between his deft fingers. His hands then smoothed over Julian's shoulders and ran down his arms until their fingers laced together. Julian let out a soft, shuddering breath.
I believe you. I believe you will do it. You've done everything you've said before. I'm just...
Julian's tongue stuck to the roof of his mouth. Afraid? Yes, because there is so much at risk. Your parents, you thought them gone forever. Daemon laid out Julian's feelings that he could not articulate himself. But now there is a chance to get them back, and you cannot quite believe that this will come true. The focus of your life has been their loss. Julian's head lowered. He was shaking.
I was going to expose the existence of vampires to the world and get my revenge.
Yes. Daemon brushed his lips over Julian's right temple. A worthy goal for my warrior fledgling. Julian smiled faintly.
I'm the warrior, but I'm going to be the one standing back while you do your thing.
I am king. Julian closed his eyes and relished those words. Some of the fear left him. Daemon had shown them all, that he could handle most anything.
But you're not completely infallible,
Julian pointed out. No, I failed in saving Christian, but that was meant to happen. That was how I found you. Daemon answered. And Heath, I do not know what role he has to play yet, or perhaps he will be one of my failures, but I will not fail you. Not in this.
I know you will do everything that can be done,
Julian assured him.
But it could go wrong. They could be gone, again.
Daemon's hand slipped up his arms in reverse and cupped Julian's jaw in soapy fingers. Kaly will fail. I will set things right with your family.
If Kaymorn can really do what he says,
Julian said with a soft, bitter laugh. Daemon's gaze went distant again. Perhaps he was looking into the future. He focused on Julian again. What I can promise you is that whatever happens will bring you and your parents peace. Julian drew in a shaky breath. That he did believe. He felt Daemon's certainty, and it resonated with something inside of him too. He leaned his forehead against Daemon's broad left shoulder. The vampire king ran slick hands up and down his spine. Between now and then, Daemon murmured into the cusp of his ear, focus on the moment, and not the fear. You are so strong, but you are new, my fledgling. You are fragile too. Emotional storms can harm you.
Emotional storms? Yeah, I definitely feel like I'm in the middle of one.
Daemon stroked him and kissed him tenderly. I need to keep you safe and well. I would do anything to keep you so. Julian's eyelids were sliding halfway shut as Daemon's soothing presence pressed in and around him in a mental embrace as much as he physically was doing so.
I know. I believe you. I'm safe with you,
Julian murmured. Daemon cradled the back of Julian's head, urging him towards his throat. Julian's fangs immediately descended as the scent of Daemon's flesh filled his nostrils, and he saw the taut pull of that velvety skin. You need to feed now, and let me love you, Daemon said. That's all you must do. Leave the rest behind. Julian knew that on his own he would never have been able to stop worrying about his family. It would have ripped him apart, piece by piece. He likely would have tried to do something stupid and useless, like looking for Lasting where Kaly was. But Daemon offered to dim the worry. He would hold it so Julian could let go for a time.
I shouldn't. My parents
would want you to be well, Daemon assured him. Those words seemed to thread through his mind. More tension bled out from Julian's shoulders. The emotional storm eased, going off into the distance. Julian's mouth glided along the skin of Daemon's throat. He lightly pressed his fangs against that delicious flesh. Let's go, my fledgling. Let's go. The next section of the podcast has been abridged. All of Julian's strength left him. His fangs retracted as he simply drooped in Daemon's arms, utterly spent, completely boneless, relaxed in a way he hadn't thought possible. The only sounds in the room were the patter of the shower water and their slowing breaths. Until Daemon chuckled. Julian tilted his head to the side and sent a silent question to the Vampire King. Daemon fingered the shattered marble. And you were worried about me breaking the toilet? Julian grinned, too spent to laugh. Join us next time for episode 81. Stay or go.
If you want to support this podcast and get the unedited episodes, we actually have something better than a Patreon. I have my own serial subscription website, wraithrain.com. It's an old-fashioned paywall site, just like Netflix or Crunchyroll. With a membership, you do get the uncut versions of Everdark with no intros, outros, or edited parts. Just the chapters as they were meant to be heard before we've had to make it all Disney safe. If this sounds interesting to you, try us out for a month. The link to sign up is in the notes. The most you'll pay is $9.95 a month, and you'll be directly supporting us, real people, not big corporations like Amazon or Netflix, not content created with AI. Wraith Rain is a small team of actual humans doing the best we can to transport you with romantic action and adventure stories. We really thank you for your support.
The Everdark podcast by X Aratare is performed by Edward Fox, Adam Riley, Jay Thillis, Bruno Devant, Kelly Michaels, and Hannah Hart, with Liz Gentle as Seer. Edited by Matthew Prince, continuity by Adrielle Wiggins. Everdark is produced by Wraith Rain Publishing in association with Her Grace Reed Studios. Copyright 2022 by Wraith Rain Publishing.